Right, John, back for another season. It's been a bit of a hectic pre-season, lots of friendlies, lots of training. How do you feel the boys have performed this pre-season?
It's been a bit up and down, but to be honest, that's been more down to the fact that we've been trying to challenge ourselves this pre-season. We've been trying to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, played some really tough teams in terms of St Mirren, Queen's Park, Partick Thistle. So it's been a very mixed bag. But the boys have done excellent. There's been a lot of chopping and changing just with a lot of bodies coming in, so we can try and get a look at everyone, give everyone a fair opportunity for the first game of the season.
So obviously you mentioned you've played a lot of games against a lot of high level opposition. Do you feel the only way the boys are actually going to develop is by playing teams better than them, lifting themselves up? Is that the aim?
Absolutely. Look, the boys had a couple of sore ones shown pre-season, and they also gave a couple of sore ones to a couple of teams. And I tell you right now, the teams that they'll learn more from have been the harder games that they did struggle in, because it means that we can take a look back on it, we can focus on what our weaknesses were and what we can do better at. Whereas if you've got a game that goes perfect, not that any game does go perfect, but if it goes nearly perfect, then there's a lot less to work on, a lot less to learn from.
So you've seen a few boys last year make the step up to the first team. How proud does that make you as their head coach to see them make that step up?
Well, that's what I'm here to do, to try and progress boys into that first team. So for me, that's the number one priority. So it was a brilliant achievement for them and myself. I really enjoyed seeing that, because it was great to see them not only get into squads but to actually feature as well.
And obviously we've seen Dean make his debut during the Premier Sports Cup games. New boy Darren Marshall made the bench, and then a couple of boys obviously came on here at the stadium in pre-season. Are you looking to get that pathway expanded this season and try and bring a few more boys through?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've always said it to the boys that it's all circumstantial. It can be a case of you can have a solid run of games that catches somebody's eye, or it can be a wee bit of luck. It can be a case of a couple of injuries in the first team leads to a position opening up, and it can be as simple as that sometimes. So we'll try and get as many as we can into that first team. End of the day, if I was sitting here saying that I wanted to keep a hold of all my best players, I'd be doing my job wrong. So for me, it's just about getting them up as soon as possible, but not just rushing them, making sure that they're ready for it as well, so that they can actually go in there and compete, because that's probably the one thing that we've got to look to strengthen on, is getting somebody into that team consistently now, rather than just being a bit part player, so we can get them in and get them getting a solid run at SPFL football.
And you've added a number of boys from obviously a lot of different teams around the area. Who identifies the boys to come into the first team? Is that yourself, or is that
So it's a bit of a team effort, so there's been a mixture of people speaking to myself, the other coaches, Gordon, our scouting team as well. So a lot of boys have came through different routes. Sometimes it can be a case of an agent will get in contact with myself, or again one of the coaches. So it has been very mixed in that sense, and I wouldn't say they all come from one place, but what I would say is we're attracting a better standard of player now as well. I mean, we're taking boys that are coming from full-time environments, from the likes of Motherwell, and young Taylor's came across from Australia because he's looking to progress into professional football, but he was actually playing in the Australian second division, and he's looking to take that further step now and push into a first team more consistently. So yeah, no, it's been a massive revamp for us, not just this season, but since the kind of first year that I came in. The difference is night and day, majorly night and day.
And obviously you're talking about taking the level up. You've obviously changed leagues. You're now in the Lowland Development League. What's different about that? Can you explain to everyone what different challenges you're going to face and why you've chosen to make the step up?
Well, before, it was always a big part of my team talks would be a case of, yes, we might potentially lose this game, but you've got to look at the bigger picture. You're here to progress into SPFL football, and we were the only team that were able to offer that in the West. Now it is a very different kettle of fish, because you're now talking that there's 3 or 4 teams that are in similar situations to us, that they've got teams in the SPFL structure and they're wanting to progress boys into there. So that in itself automatically makes it a bigger challenge, and there's a lot more structure and professionalism in it, and you can see that with the level of teams that are there. We faced a few last season and you could see a massive jump, not only in the sense of the teams themselves, but in terms of the setups as well and what they can actually offer.
And obviously the first team have a few boys on loan. We're here for the stadium tonight for the game against the Mirren B team. Do you feel that having this competition and having a few first team players unavailable might give an extra pathway for your boys to break into the first team?
Absolutely. What I've tell my boys that they've got to be ready at any opportunity. It can, like I said earlier, it can be a case where it can come snap of a finger. And yeah, it's definitely an opportunity. The fact that the boys are obviously cup tied, they aren't able to play in this competition, then it just opens up their chance to go and show, right, well, why should I get in front of them and make a statement?
And obviously there's been a bit of confusion amongst the fan base now with U20 side. I know you're only involved with one. Are you able to just expand on that and explain what the situation is with the U20's teams this year?
So obviously Gordon would be able to kind of go into more detail with that, just with being head of youth and stuff. But in terms of there being U20's, the gaffer had made it quite clear in terms of that he very highly rated the Lowland League and he wanted us to progress into there. So essentially it's still the same pathway, it's still an under-19's team, but they're competing in the under-20's West League, and it just means that it's another avenue for progression. It also opens up as well in the sense of if we've got boys that maybe have potential but they're maybe not quite ready for Lowland development, then they can go and learn the trade, they can go and get used to the physicality of 20s football and that setup before they make the jump to us.
And just finally, what are you looking to achieve from your team this year? What would be a successful year for you?
Well, number one's getting boys in the first team. Like that's number one, and what any good coach will tell you, they want to win, and they want to win as much as they can. I'm taking a bit of a different approach from last season in the sense of we're looking at it more game to game now, because there's been a lot of changes in the Lowland, so I don't think anyone in the Lowland will truly know what to expect from each other. So it'll be a case of it'll take at least a good 4 or 5 games to really get a feel for who's where and where we'll really be targeting for the end of the season. But again, the main priority will be getting boys into that first team, and then secondly is winning as much as possible.
And if anybody wants to come down and see the team play, obviously the fixtures are on the Facebook, Twitter, but whereabouts do you usually play your home games?
So our home games will now be getting played in Bud Hill, and I know that is quite far for some fans in terms of it's a bit of a trek in all honesty, but it's a cracking facility. That's the reason that we've went for it. It's got everything that we need. We've got our own analysis room, we're able to use it as much as we like, hold team meetings, we're able to really take it and use it as our own. As well, the other side of that is it opens up an avenue for younger players that maybe don't have a car, that maybe would need to travel all the way down here, and it means that we can strengthen the team by opening up. And the thing is, if you look at all your top teams in the country, in terms of like your Aberdeens, they used to have, I don't believe they've got it anymore, but they used to have a Glasgow camp, even though they were obviously Aberdeen based. And that again, it was just to open up so that they could build up on more potential without limiting themselves to just the area that they are.
Right, good luck for the season, Jordan.
Thanks very much.